Hi, I'm Christy Tracy from Austin, Texas. I'm an ultra-cyclist, and welcome to the OhioRAAM Show.
Thank you, Christy Tracy, for that introduction, and you can see more of Christy on the March 27th OhioRAAM show, show number 213. And hello again, I am Lee Kreider, the host of the OhioRAAM show, a show about cycling and ultracycling, and this is show number 210. The OhioRAAM show comes to you 3 times a month on the 7th, 17th, and 27th. Be sure to check the show notes. You'll see more about today's guest there, some other links of interest to ultracyclists, and there's also a way there you can connect with the OhioRAAM show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're going to say that Maria Vasquez is not on today's show, and she'll be taking a break for a little while here. Her schedule has become so uncertain from day to day and week to week that it is difficult to work her schedule around the needs of our guests. So until that stabilizes a little bit and she can be more certain of when she's available, she's going to be taking a break from the show. Today's guest is Marcus Leach from London, England. He is a very accomplished ultra athlete in many different sports. Today we'll be talking about ultra cycling. The feed from Marcus was very, very bad at the very first part of the show. We tried to recover it as best we could, and finally decided that we're going to just cut it out, and we're going to break into the show about halfway through when he starts talking about ultra cycling, and his feed did improve somewhat. Having said that, we need to fill in a little bit that Marcus is an author, public speaker, extreme ultra athlete in many, many different disciplines. He is also a father, a husband. He has 1 child, and another child is expected later this year. So that said, let's head on to London with Marcus.
I was speaking at a business event out in Austria at the end of 2017 when I got chatting to a member of the audience afterwards, and he talked to me about ultra cycling, and I'd never heard of cycling before. For me, it was always the road cycling and those events. And it opened my eyes to a totally new world of cycling. And it's one that over the last 12, 13 months, I've totally fallen in love with. But I'd have to say, from what I've done, for me, the real joy comes in the unsupported element. You know, it's you, your bike, all of your kit. And there's something about that really appeals to me, the simplicity of it. And in a weird kind of way, I'm a husband and I'm a father, and I love those my family incredibly. But there's a little part of me that loves the selfishness of being on my bike, whereby when I'm at these events, all I have to think about is what I want to do when I want to do it.
Going by yourself, you don't have to have a discussion as to where you're going to stop, where you're going to sleep.
Yes, I do go off and have periods away, and I do my races and I do a lot of training. But then when I'm at home with my family, that's where I am, and I'm in the moment with them. And for me, that's the important thing.
What have you got planned for the future that you're willing to tell us about?
Wow, where to start? So Peru is the one I've just registered for this year. So I'm going to be in Peru in August, racing there. I'm off to Laos in Southeast Asia to do a race with Biking Man out there, which is all along the Mekong River in the jungle. And it's not just the things you see. I think it's the sounds you hear, the smells, and the opportunity just to pull off the side of the road and interact with people. There's just a real connection that you get on the bike. And I think it's true what you say. In a car, people will miss so much because they're going too fast. And on a bike, you've slowed down enough whereby you are part of the environment and the landscape that you're in. So that's why I'm heading to Morocco. I just want to go and I'd been through Morocco in a truck and on a bus, backpacking. I remember when I was there going up some of these roads and these mountain passes in a pickup truck thinking, wow, imagine coming here on a bike. And I've been given the opportunity to go and do that now, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to. So as well as that, they're my sort of 3 big projects. And then I'm looking at doing, again, some exploration riding in Japan towards the end of the year, because it's another country I'm fascinated by, I've never been to. And I just thought, why don't you go and take your bike and see where the road leads?
Marcus, having moved into ultracycling as a new thing, what's one thing you would tell a new person in ultracycling that they need to learn that they didn't learn while road cycling?
Possibly the main thing I would say is you need to learn to be very comfortable your own company and just being alone. Because from my own experiences into ultracycling, there are long periods of being on your own. I look back to cycling through Taiwan, and I remember cycling through the jungle at 2 o'clock in the morning, having ridden 300 kilometers already, no sleep. But I did it with a smile on my face because I'd become so comfortable with just being me and not needing anybody around, riding in a peloton and having that freedom. And in Oman, I took so much kit because I'd never done an ultra race before. So I just took too much stuff. So the advice that this veteran of the ultracycling world gave me was that he said, get yourself a pair of washing up gloves, a pair of standard rubber gloves that you'd use to do the dishes with at home. I took his advice, and I was in Corsica, and I suddenly realized I'd left the yellow rubber gloves, because they come in lovely colors. I'd left the yellow gloves at home, and it was the night before the race. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because there's rain forecast. I need to go and get some more gloves. So I went to the local supermarket in Corsica, and the only gloves they had in my size were bright pink. So I ended up buying these bright pink washing up gloves. And sure enough, the next day, in the middle of the night, it starts to pour with rain. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got my gloves. So there I am in the middle of the night, cycling through the forest with pink rubber gloves on, just laughing to myself, thinking, if anyone could see me now.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question that has been asked of me a number of times. Do you ever get lonely out there?
Yes, is the simple answer. I think the times I can feel lonely, whether it's lonely or maybe isolated, and I think maybe the two are quite different. I think I end up feeling isolated in certain situations, and it's normally when you're tired, maybe things aren't necessarily going exactly to plan, the weather's not great, and it's normally about that time when that little voice in your head starts questioning what you're doing. It's dark, you're stuck, you're in between 2 little towns, 50 kilometers from each one, and there's nothing in between, and you feel very alone and isolated in a world that's got billions of people in, and it just narrows down to just you in this little bubble. And I think in those moments, yeah, I have felt lonely and isolated on the bike. And that's when I think most about the people in my life who mean the most to me. My wife, my children, my family, good friends, and sometimes question why I'm doing what I do. And in thinking about them, and it kind of helps me stay focused and just tell myself little stories and about why I'm doing it, who I'm doing it for. And I think that helps me through those moments.
I've never really felt lonely, Marcus, except one time I recall, North Dakota, I believe. The weather was bad, and the road took a turn, different direction than what I was headed, and my goal, I wasn't headed in the direction of my goal. And I thought, I'm not getting any closer. But that's the way I had to go. As soon as the road turned and I picked up a tailwind, I guess, and was headed back toward the direction I wanted to head, why it seemed to change. Anyhow,
it's amazing what just to pick up on what you said, it's amazing what the slightest little problem or change in what you expect to happen can really affect your morale when you're on a bike on a race or a very long ride. And I've experienced it myself, where in Corsica last year, the race route had to get redirected at the last minute to go back up a little stretch of road I'd just come down. And it wasn't a huge detour, but the whole way up this climb I just descended, I was in the worst mood possible because I was moving away from where I wanted to get to.
Right, exactly.
Ultra cycling, I think, is yes, there's a big element of physical fitness, but a lot of it comes down to your mindset and your mental strength.
You have a charity. Would you tell me about your charity? And
so the charity I've supported for several years now is called DABU. DABU Foundation, it's actually our family charity. It was founded by my grandmother, who sadly is no longer with us. We lost her almost 12 years ago now to cancer. And very quick story, when she was in hospital, the nurse who was looking after her, a lady called Atilia, was from the African country Malawi, which is often called the warm heart of Africa. And Atilia epitomized that because she was an amazing lady, looked after my gran, and they became very good friends, and they were raising money in the village to put a fresh water well in. And my gran asked how much would it cost to do the well, and Atilia told her, and in the next 2 days she raised the entire amount of money to put the well in. And from that, we've built the foundation, and we've put a corn mill in so that they've got able to grind their corn, but also make money because other people come to use the mill. We've put a medical center in, and we're just about to start raising funds to build a girls' school in the village as well. So it's something that's close to my own heart. I've been out to Malawi several times to help work and build the foundations for some of the structures.
Marcus, will we ever see you here in the United States?
I haven't, and I think in 2020 I might head over. I know obviously you've got the OhioRAAM race, which, having done a supported ride, there was an element that sort of thinks could be an interesting event to do. So there's nothing concrete in the diary. There's some great events out in America that I'd love to look at doing.
Well, we would love to see you here sometime, and there are a lot of great events here. And Marcus, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate that, and we wish you well in your endeavor, particularly in your foundation. That's very important. And thank you again.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And just to say, if anyone wants to follow my journey, you can do. I document everything on social media. So just find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and happy to share my journey with anyone who's inspired or interested in following.
Well, thanks, Marcus. And we wish you well in your endeavors. Hope we will see you here in the United States in some type of event in the not too distant future. And we want to thank you, the viewers who support the show, those of you especially who support the show on social media with your likes, your shares, your comments. On our next show, which will be February 17th, we'll be going back to London once again to visit with Adrian O'Sullivan, who is the founder and organizer of the Transatlantic Way self-supported race in Ireland. So with that, we're going to say goodbye. See you in about 10 days.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.